Hello, hello. Welcome to this Tarot Live. This is a little surprise adventure because I am so excited. My Oracle decks arrived in the mail today. So I wanted to come online and do a little bit of a reveal. And then I just put the notice out that I'm coming on live and going to be going through one of the decks at least. And so if you guys come on live, then I'm going to be doing mini reads from my new Oracle, the Shadow Fantasy Oracle. So this is the one that I just recently created. And there's a couple more. And I'm going to be doing the reveal for that on Saturday. And what I'm going to be doing is mini readings by donation. So tonight we're just going through, going to do a little bit of a reveal for the cards, just go through a few of the images, a few of the messages. And so you can get a little bit of a hint and an idea of what this oracle is all about and the energy around it. And then Saturday, of course, I'm going to do mini reads and by donations, so you can pay on PayPal. The link is on my Facebook page, Kindred Heart Tarot. And yeah, we're going to have a little fun on Saturday in terms of exploring these new decks, because I need to make sure that everything is all in alignment with the vibrations for these beautiful, awesome decks. But I'm so excited for these creations. So I'll go through a few of them just to give you an idea of what is going on here. So we've got these beautiful cards. So like I said, a lot of this is shadow, but it's also fantasy and really going through the exploration of the soul's journey, the soul's evolution through relationship, but also a relationship with yourself. So here we have reflection. There we are. And here we have light the way. So a lot of very direct messaging here. So this is, you can use these if you're a beginner, or I would say an expert. If you're somewhere in the middle, this might not work for you because you're going to have to go off of all the imagery and the energies that the cards have for themselves. And it's just 222 on the timestamp there. So we have shapeshifter. So really looking at all the energies that we experience when we're digging a little bit deeper and we're kind of moving between worlds in terms of the 3D, 5D, also, twin flame energies and soul bonds, karmic connections, soul ties, and just those energies of completing karma, completing contracts, and really understanding the depth that requires in terms of diving deep and doing the shadow work within yourself. So we have battlefield here. It can sometimes seem like a battlefield, and we're definitely going through that right now. Telepathy, we have so many connections that are experiencing this right now. And, this can also happen with friends and family members as well as passed over loved ones, etc. You could be really getting a lot of telepathic messages at this time. And you can be communicating, with a certain person. So here we see the image of this person, walking through the woods, and then there's this woman here. So, with the imagery, it just felt like, they are in totally different places, totally different timelines, spaces, but they're connected and they're communicating telepathically. And we have angelic guidance here. A lot of angelic guidance happening at this time. So, we have this beautiful figure, and we can't really sometimes feel that presence tangibly, like we can touch it and really know. So it requires that trust and that faith, but you can tell, you might be able to feel this guidance around you, and you just know that there's extra support happening here. And this is creative insights. We got the little fox here. So when you're tapping into that energy of creation, when you've finally broken through, that stagnancy, or you hit roadblocks, but you manage to move through that death phase and go into that rebirth cycle. And then, of course, that little flame that might have kind of petered out after some situations that were very challenging for your evolution, your soul's growth. We've finally come back to these creative insights and, really exploring what we have to offer in terms of service, but also bringing a legacy to the world. And we have mystical portals. We have this beautiful, inner child on a swing, kind of understanding that reality isn't what, we thought it was. And there's so many layers, there's so much depth to this world. So there are so many mystical portals that we will come to in this lifetime. And so magical events as well. This is a big time. Tomorrow is the full moon. So we've got October 1st, full moon. And then at the very end of October, October 31st, so Halloween, we also have the full moon. So we have a lot of energy happening and a lot of magical events. And especially if you have managed to come through that chaos and really claim your calm, claim your inner peace, this magical energy, these magical events are going to be showing up for you because you're totally in receptivity. You're waiting. You're ready to receive. And here we have answered prayers. I just love this card. It's so beautiful. Just the galactic energy, destiny, fate, all of the events colliding and connecting, that tapestry, that universal tapestry coming together for you, and you knowing that what you've asked for and what you're putting out to the universe and how you're adapting and restructuring things as you learn, as you grow, so that you're not repeating cycles over and over again. You're really taking what you've learned and you're ready to receive these answered prayers. And here we go. We have shadow work. Have we ever been doing a lot of shadow work? So this card is pretty prevalent right now. But the thing with shadow work is it allows us to get to a point where we have our greatest successes and our greatest breakthroughs within ourselves. So, it's really hard to understand where you're holding yourself back until you break through this shadow work, until you have those aha moments where you really recognize, oh shit, I've been blocking myself. Whoa, this is what I've been hyper focused on, or this is, what trauma has been coming up again and again that I wasn't willing to look at, but now I am. So this is a beautiful card, just reminding us how many mirrors there are to our energies. And it's not always simple. It can be really complex. So there's a lot to be said with the inner journey of shadow work and, the shadow work of others around us. So we have to be patient sometimes, and that's where forgiveness comes in too. And we have inner spark. I just love this. So we've got this beautiful grizzly bear, and there's like a whole universe within, and little fireflies kind of coming out here. So sometimes that inner spark, it does go out. That inner spark, you just don't feel it. You're resting. You need to rest. You might be in one of those times in your life where you have been putting out so much energy. You've been going through challenge or burden, setback, and you really feel like you've lost that inner spark. And so when we think about the grizzly and how much respect that animal commands simply by being itself, we have to always remember that this is an eternal flame. It never does go out, but we can feel like it does. So it's reclaiming that inner spark, coming back to that place of creation where we have built a stable ground for ourselves so that we can move forward. And also, it talks about grounding too, and kind of bringing the fantasy and the practical together so that we can manifest properly. And, that's something that's so huge, because some people are really have amazing energy to manifest, but they don't have connection into the physical. They're not grounded enough. So they have all the lower chakra energies to balance. And then you might have someone who's working really hard, just always working hard. And they can't manifest their dreams because they're stuck in the lower, chakra energies, and they haven't been able to tap into the dream and the crown chakra, the higher energies. So it's all about balance. It's coming into the compromise, the middle ground for both. And we have timeless. So there are some lessons and there's some aspects of ourselves, no matter what we go through, there's certain times where you'll recognize your strength. You'll really recognize it, and you'll sit there and go, wow, There are elements to my soul that are timeless. There are things about me, that eternal, innate strength, confidence that can't be broken. And so there's this timeless energy about yourself. But, when you're looking at the world and you're breaking through to the 5D energies and you're really understanding there's so many levels and layers, and trying to tap into the intricacies of timelines and how we manifest in the law of attraction, but also not trying to control it as well. So there's this fine dance and this fine line of not being so serious about time and what we have to accomplish within a life, and really to just enjoy ourselves and have a timeless element. Really, it connects into impermanence as well, knowing that impermanence is constant. And so having this timeless aspect, this can also apply to relationships with certain people. You understand no matter what happens, that connection is timeless. And we have starseed. We have so many starseeds, awakening or activating at this time. I saw a wonderful sort of galactic mystery last night with like a star kind of falling from the sky. It was really, really interesting. And so that was a little shout out, I think. So there's a lot of Pleiadian energies. You might feel connected with Orion or certain star groups, and just really feel like, before you might have felt like an outsider in terms of not fitting in or just being a little bit too, woo-woo, if you want to say it like that. But now you're understanding that there's so many of you out there that you actually do have a tribe. You actually do have a support system of starseeds and energies that are, out of this world, so to speak, that are helping you move forward in your life, which is awesome, which is beautiful. So feel free to say hi if you're watching, and let me know what you think so far. Galactic Council is our next one, kind of along the same, thread as starseed. There is so much powerful supportive energy behind the scenes, and we do have this energy of the Galactic Council, as well as our ancestors and our guides and archangels and passed over loved ones, etc. We have this Galactic Council kind of helping us move forward for the highest and best of all. So this really powerful unity consciousness that can help move through. And then if you're tapping into this in your lifetime, you're really moving into this energy of mastery, and you'll be able to have a lot of fun and play with these energies. But that also might mean that you have kind of accepted responsibility to be of service for the highest and best. So you might birth something, you might create something. It could be a book, it could be an oracle deck, it could be anything that you bring to the world through energies of, the Galactic Council or supportive energies that need something to come through, and they choose you. And we have patience. So, a lot of us are employing this energy right now, just being patient with ourselves, but also patient with others, and the mystery that's unfolding and that has been unfolding for so long, and just really, really hanging in there and persevering in terms of knowing that we can cultivate those dreams and those goals on the new path that we're on, with the new self that we've kind of become and come to just barely know and recognize at this point as we move forward. And this is inner child healing. I love this. We're doing a lot of this too, because there's a lot of recognition right now where fear has been holding us back, and where we thought we were in the energy of love, but we were really in the energy of fear. So this inner child healing is so important, because when we take on the burden and responsibility of our parents or our guardians, we hold that for so long, and it can take a lot of harsh lessons, and it can take some contracts, it can take relationships to finally break free of some of the entanglements that we have from our childhood. So inner child healing is totally necessary. And then here we have, the cover card, and this is Revelations. a lot of revelations will be coming to light, truths coming up to the surface for yourself, for others. You might have communication coming through, revelations of different dimensions and understandings of life. You might just go, whoa, wow, I thought I had this lesson covered, but now I see a totally new layer to this. And just by changing my perspective on something, now I see something totally differently, and I feel like I have these revelations coming through. And this is also spirit bringing those through for you when the time is right. Finally, that moment is there where it's like ready. Spirit knows you're ready, you feel ready, and it comes through, and bam, you have this revelation. Hot-headed. This is perfect for Mars retrograde energy and Mercury going retrograde here. We've got a lot going on, and with so much purging and processing and being challenged out of our comfort zone, those people who are resisting the most, who are the most stubborn, who are the most stuck in their ego, who really don't want to change, don't want to evolve because they're terrified of being vulnerable. They're terrified of being their best self because they've been so used to just kind of playing it safe for so long. It doesn't get them anywhere. They're not meeting their goals. They're not achieving their dreams, but they can cause people to be hot-headed. And this is also kind of like a fair warning card if you get it in a reading that's saying, either you or someone else is being hot-headed. So you might have to take a step back and allow some time to pass and or come at it with a really conscious understanding that you need to respond instead of react. Or someone has reacted instead of responded. And we have weighing options. So this one's pretty clear. We have a lot of choice points happening, and we've had a lot of choice points in the past here. And so this one is really important in terms of, just confirming if we are weighing options and really trying to make a decision in terms of pros and cons, or what is in our best interest moving forward on our path. And here we have hidden depths. This one is, a lot of what I'm talking about in terms of the mystery, where something, your intuition is telling you something. It could be about a relationship, a job, an opportunity. But all you can still see is this. All the 3D is offering you is just this, or even nothing at all. You can't see it, but intuitively and instinctively that there's so much beneath the surface. We have hidden depths at play. And this one, I love this one. We've got the little gargoyle here. We've got protected as we move through these new energies, new paths, meeting new people, and exploring new parts of ourselves. Because if you let go of fear that's hindered you, you'll need to employ new boundaries. And so when you're in that middle stage of transformation or transmutation, it's really good to know that you are protected by energies that are greater than yourself, so to speak. And we have blessings. I love this. This kind of yellow reminds me of the empowerment energy too. Blessings that will help empower you. And we've got this little boat so that you can move forward on your journey, and you can move forward with smooth waters and kind of have, the way illuminated for you. And so here we have illuminating options. Nice segue there. And we have the moon and this beautiful jellyfish here. And just knowing that, even though technically in the tarot, we look at the sun as, what's out in front of us and what we can really tangibly see, taste, touch. But we look at the moon as the hidden depths. Well, the moon can also illuminate those shadows as well. It can be very illuminating in terms of what options we really do have and choices we do have within certain perceptions that we hold, and what our mind is creating. So we also have disappointment. And, this one, she makes me think of a really nostalgic person. So really focused on the past, and she's got her her hands just kind of over her neck here. So we don't have a lot of communication. So this disappointment, nostalgia, lack of communication, just not feeling heard or not being able to voice your opinion. I love this card. I love this art. Sneaky behaviors. We have kind of like, the jackal energy or the coyote medicine, a little bit of a hybrid fusion here. And this one is sneaky behavior. And we know that some people, when they're in their ego energy or they're working off trauma from the past, they really sit into that instant gratification. And so you can manipulate someone and they're in the energy of not really knowing their worth, and they just kind of give willy-nilly without receiving in return or holding you to a high standard, then there can be sneaky behavior, there can be lies. And a person who feels like they have room to do that, it's all their stuff. They'll have to deal with that karmically. But we can also develop stronger boundaries and less tolerance for people who have sneaky behavior. And this one, omens, so important right now. Of course, we've got the beautiful full moon and a hawk flying, across the moon here. So there's messages, there's omens, there's synchronicities, there's numerology, astrology, all of these signs coming through. So make sure you're paying attention to the details and listening to the omens that are coming through. And here we have unconditional love. This one's so beautiful. When we're hurt the most, and when we're coming through these challenges and transitioning into a new phase in our life, it's really important to understand the unconditional love we have for ourselves, but the unconditional love that Spirit has for us as well. And if you have people who have really hurt you, it's important to kind of look back and go, okay, there was a lack of love there. Someone didn't love them properly, then they learned not to love themselves properly. And that is where the trauma and the ability to wound others kind of willy-nilly was created in the first place. Now, it's a choice to maintain that energy, but with unconditional love, you might be able to pull some of the daggers out or the barbs out and understand that you can love yourself unconditionally where those others could not, where you can see the value in yourself where others could not. And we have empowerment. I love this. We have the clouds, we have the sand, we have this connection to this kind of regal queen or goddess energy. So, and of course, God energy too, if you're a masculine watching. But this is great for this empowerment energy. It's like, you've stepped into your own, you've cleared your own fears where you might have been holding yourself back. And now you're stepping into your true power and you're really owning it and claiming it for your own. So moving into a place where you can get things done and you can dream and you can bring it into reality. So kind of where practicality meets fantasy in that empowerment card. And we have seeing truths, the owl, wisdom, deception, but we're stepping into that power. With that empowerment, we're kind of going, okay, it is safe for me to trust my intuition. I can actually use that in the real world. And so really learning how to use that divine insight to see the truth of the matter. And, going back to that hidden depths card too, being able to know, okay, there's hidden depths here. Like I totally understand that I don't see everything that's happening on the surface. So trusting and stillness. So this one can be kind of like a winter card, a hermit energy, going within to listen perhaps. So just knowing that sometimes we need this stillness to rest. We need this stillness to regenerate and to recover and to really go within to touch base with ourselves. Because sometimes we can look outside of ourselves for answers too often. And so this stillness can be really necessary to find some answers that can't be found outside of ourselves. But of course, here we have codependency. And this poor wee lassie, she's got her heart broken. And, codependency is it's a very sad thing because all you want is love. All you want is to give love. But there's a lack of recognition of how much wounding and where that comes from and the attachments with the giving or receiving. And so, a narcissist might have that attachment to taking because they can't be vulnerable. They have a lot of trouble loving because if they love, then they're open, then they're vulnerable, then that person can hurt them. So that's an element of codependency. But with the giver or the empath energy, if you're giving, you're kind of giving so that someone will recognize you, so that someone will see your worth through your giving. And therefore there is an attachment on that giving. So it isn't freely given, if you know what I mean. So this codependency energy, it can cause a lot of pain and hurt. And we have the silent treatment. You know, sometimes not everyone can communicate easily. Some people find it really hard to communicate their emotions, and some people find it really easy, right? But you have to kind of figure out who you're working with. So if there's someone who isn't able to tap into their emotional body very well, then that person is very unlikely able to express their emotions properly because they are working on connecting with their emotions in the first place. So we have a few energies probably happening right now of silent treatments or taking a break because of that hot-headed energy, or mistakes made because someone was focused too much on fear and or their own victimization, so they always have to be the victim because nobody else can, have one over on them and such. But this energy of silent treatment, you look at the eyes too. It's like most often this person wants to communicate, but they haven't found the courage to yet. And so there's the silent treatment. It's not really about you. It's about them finding that connection to the emotional body and bringing the mind and the heart together to communicate. And we have stand firm, baby. So a lot of this happening right now, especially, in connection with this silent treatment, some of us, as we have stepped into a higher version of ourselves and more power, we need to have better boundaries. And so if we used to tolerate, say, this much bullshit, and then we're like, whoa, okay, I'm tolerating too much bullshit, it doesn't make me feel good. Then you go down to here and someone is used to your tolerance level being really high. They might push, and you're like, actually, no, not interested in that behavior anymore. So you either shape up or ship out. This is about standing firm, standing your ground in that energy, because, if someone can come back and go, hey, like, what's going on here? You can say, this is what's going on. Here are my new boundaries. And this is why. But if they don't bother to ask, then they're probably a person you really needed to have those boundaries with in the first place. So we also have mental anguish. And this can happen, this is like the suit of swords or air energies. And we've had so much of this. So I hope you guys are managing to move out of this energy of mental anguish. But this can happen when you're heartbroken or something doesn't go the way you think it's supposed to. And you just move, if you close off the heart chakra and you move all up into your mind, then the mind is just spinning around because there's nothing to ground it to, because that energy is just up top. It's not cycling through the whole body. So you have this energy of mental anguish. And this one can actually perpetuate so many different things in our lifetime. So it is really, really important to get a handle on this and either reach out, go for therapy, or connect with trusted loved ones, meditate, and really understand where the negative reels are coming from in your own mind, because they can create self-fulfilling prophecies and they can create unwanted experiences, even as a byproduct. And we have higher vision. This one I feel, kind of like the eagle medicine or the angelic realm, needing to fly above earthly matters and really look at things from a higher perspective and have higher vision about the world. So if you're just looking at yourself and a situation, really moving that to the community and the unity consciousness and going, okay, there's more moving pieces here than I had kind of understood. And this may take more time, or this may take more transformation for it to come into alignment with me. And I may not have understanding now, but I shortly will. And we have emotional healing. I love this one. And it was a little bit hard, but I decided to go with this image anyways. But there's a young woman here just kind of on her knees, and this person here like bestowing this kind of sword, flaming sword. I always think of like Archangel Michael and the sword of truth and the sword of courage. It's like you earn the sword of truth and the sword of courage through your emotional healing. And you can really wield this responsibly only if you've done emotional healing, because if you haven't done emotional healing, you will hurt other people by projecting your fears and protecting yourself when you may not need to be protecting yourself. You're just afraid because you're projecting that everybody is going to hurt you because you don't trust anyone. So this is a really important energy to move through at this time as well. And we have threshold. A lot of us are going through this threshold from an old cycle or contract into a new beginning. So this one is really beautiful. And this can be a divine threshold too, when you finally learn the lesson to a point where you can release the past and move forward with kind of more of a neutral, clean slate. And we have divine transformation. A lot of this happening over the past year. You know, we all go through our cycles at different times and in different ways, but we've had so much divine transformation happening, really guided, protected, supported in following our highest truth, in revealing more of our true authentic self, taking off the masks and moving forward more in our kind of pure energy form, which is, you know, really loving and not a lot of fear, not a lot of ego, or lower energy attachments. And we have saving grace. This one is all about how sometimes, you know, those silver linings come out of those storms where, you know, we might feel completely ruined and it takes us like a year, 2 years, 5 years to recover from situations in our lives. But, you know, there is a saving grace within them. And the sooner we can locate and find those through that inner shadow work, the better. Because sometimes there is just, you know, that divine intervention within the saving grace energy. And we have initiation. This one too, you know, you can't have mastery without initiation. And so there's always these tests that we find ourselves in. Even if we've come through something and we're like, okay, I got this now, you might have a little test. It could be a boundary test. And that comes with this energy of initiation. And we have gifts emerging. This is also something really powerful right now. You know, as we connect in with different timelines and we release old timelines or energies that don't serve us anymore, and we have this kind of celebratory release energy, new gifts have the opportunity to emerge because we're making space for them. And we're also understanding the power that we have to hold them, but we're earning the right and the honor of being responsible for these new gifts that are emerging too, so that we can be of service with humility and not tyranny. And we have isolated. So, you know, a lot of this journey, a lot of the mystical path, the path of the shaman, shamaness, the path of the master, and even simply that person who has, you know, their life, but also a life of service that they are contracted to. And that's part of their dual energy here on Earth. Could be an Earth angel, could be a starseed, it could be any number of these things. But, you know, at some points on this path, you might feel extremely isolated. You know, there's always a light, there's always something to move towards, even if it's like the tiniest sliver. And we have toxic attachment. Sometimes we can get into these loops, you know, it can be within the mind too, but we can get into these energies where we don't realize how attached we are until we've actually let go. And then you can really understand, wow, okay, I thought I had detached. So you might have left, you might have gone to a different city, you might have gone, started dating someone new, or you might have moved jobs, you know, depending on what this applies to. And then you realize you're still attached. You still have these attachments to what was supposed to be, or who you thought someone was, or where you're not allowing it to evolve into a healthy version because you're afraid or you're in your comfort zone. All these toxic attachments can really hold us back. So we're moving through a lot of these energies right now, dismantling them so that we can have a better future. And we have shadow familiar. So you might have been seeing a lot of crows or ravens lately. They're a very magical animal, and they have a lot to say in terms of numerology. You know, always listen for how many caws you hear when you hear crows or ravens cawing, and look at that as a numerology message for you if it stands out to you in particular. But we do have these familiars that help guide us. You might note when you're driving, you see the crows and ravens flying over you. You know, that's a sign, you know, you're being guided, you're being protected, you're being watched over. And we have mind versus heart. So what I was talking about before too, there's really this convergence and this transformation right now of either couples or friends or people or divine partnerships, twin flames, where one person was really in the mind and the cerebral, would always think with their head, and the other person was in their heart and their emotions and would always go with the heart. And now the two are learning to merge those energies and balance them, so they have the practical and the dream, the heart and the mind coming together as one. And we have mind games. As I was saying, some people find it easier to manipulate people to get what they want instead of really being vulnerable and open. And this is really just a fear of being hurt. But these people can be very dangerous, especially depending on how long they've been manipulating people for, because if that's all they know, it'll be really hard for them to move out of that energy. But also make sure that you're not playing mind games with people either, because that can be, that instant gratification energy where you're like, well, I'm used to just getting my way because I can manipulate someone into doing what I want. And it would take me a lot longer to actually be myself and take the masks off or do the shadow work and work on my emotional healing. So I'm just not going to. So make sure that you're ready and willing to move out of this mind game energy and into a more stable energy, like a rebirth. So, a lot of rebirth happens after we go through heavy purging and heavy shadow work. And it really means that we can get on to that new cycle. We can move on to that new path that we're going on. And it requires, that death. That's why the skull's here. It requires a death of the old to move into the new. And then we have animal spirit guides. So we can have many different guides, and we can also have shadow guides too. So, not to be afraid of the shadows, not to be afraid of our animal spirit guides who are helping us move through, whether it's, kind of shadow or light energies. And here we have exhausted. So we can see that there is a new dawn, like off in the distance, but she's like, nope, not feeling it. And there are times in our life where we are just simply exhausted. There is nothing more that we can do at that time. And that's where we really have to employ the self-care and work on ourselves and just really focus on, even just getting back up again, let alone doing anything with that energy. So you really have to note when your energy levels are this low, you have to take the time to regenerate and recuperate. And you can tell people that too, like, hey, I was trying to look like I had it all together. I'm used to being fairly stoic. I don't want to seem weak because that's what I learned weakness to be. But, I'm really exhausted. I can't even do this, but I care about you. And I'm just going to be like out of the picture for a little while I'm working on myself. So you can learn to communicate and ask for help when you're feeling exhausted. And here we have non-committal. So there's this, silhouette of this man, and he's got this kind of tunnel energy, and he's kind of like hiking out of it in the back. And then there's this image here of this couple kind of talking. And this is kind of that energy of escapism. This can be you, can be another person, can be a job, can be all sorts of things. But it's kind of like, you're not committed to yourself. You're not committed to your own healing work and doing that work. And so you're not ever going to be really committed to doing that work in a relationship, because a relationship does require commitment. And so if you're non-committal in that energy, it's not going to get very far before it crumbles, and or you're just going to be living a facade for a very long time. And so here we also have unseen help. This one kind of reminds me of like the Patronus charm in Harry Potter or something. Like it's, there's so many times where we feel guided, or we don't even feel guided. We don't even know, we don't even have a clue, but there's unseen help working with us to help us, either see something, meet someone, see a job posting, or whatever it is for us that we need in that moment. And here we have Dragon Fire Transmutations. This energy is all about that huge, massive shift from feeling disempowered, like you aren't seen, heard, or valued, and really going, wow, okay, I wasn't valuing myself. I wasn't protecting my treasure. And that's what I think about with dragon energy, protecting the gold, protecting the treasure. So now you understand that you have gold, you are the gold. So you're going to protect it, and you're going through this dragon fire transmutation. And finally, we have new beginnings, and we have this beautiful white snowy owl, up top here, and she's opening the curtains to, a fresh new path. And so beautiful, beautiful energies going on here with these new beginnings. And we can look at the red in her dress too. And this is like the root chakra. So putting down roots, finally starting with a stable, strong foundation within so that we can create strong foundations on the outside too. So, like I said, on Saturday, I will be doing mini readings by donation, and I'll put up another highlight that I'm going to be doing that. I'm not sure for the live, but if there's anyone that wants a card pull that's watching live, I will do a pull for you. If you want to put in the comments, yes, please, I can do a card pull for you. Otherwise, that is my Shadow Fantasy Oracle, and I will shortly have the information on how you can purchase this deck. I am so happy it arrived, and I'm really excited to show you the next deck next week, and we'll, be showcasing my new decks, of course, on Instagram too. You can follow me at Molly Kindred. And like I said, I'm Kindred Heart Tarot on Facebook, so you can head on over there if you want to like my page and find out what's going on and my services. My services for tarot readings are open, so the books are open. And you can book either by sending me a message, and we're going on the Facebook page there and booking a service through the Acuity scheduling link. So once again, if there's anyone watching that wants a card pull, then I will pull for you. Otherwise, you guys have an amazing evening. I hope you enjoyed going through that deck and just, understanding the energies that went into the creation of that deck. And I will catch up with you guys next time. All right, you guys, have an amazing evening, and we'll catch you later. Bye. Ciao.